Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Jeb Bush, running for president of the United States, the former governor of Florida and the brother of former President George W. Bush and the son of former President George H.W. Bush. He is concerned about an EMP attack on the power grid of the United States of America. Matter of fact, if you think about this, in an interview with Politico, former Governor Jeb Bush, who is now of course, candidate for president of the United States, described in a back and forth on a subject with a woman at a town hall meeting in Concord, New Hampshire. She said, "I'm worried about EMPs. Are you?" He recalled in the interview, quote, "I had just read an article about electromagnetic pulse and how it could take out the grid. And it's scary. It's one of the scariest things that could ever happen. It's not often you hear a presidential candidate describing something as scary, but anyway, Jeb Bush is hardly the first 2016 candidate to declare himself worried about an EMP. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, former neurosurgeon Ben Carson, former Senator Rick Santorum, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee have all expressed their concerns of an EMP attack. Bush went on to say an EMP is a devastating explosion that sends a pulse that knocks out all electric grids or anything electrical. Everything that's connected to any kind of electric or wire has a circuit board. It gets fried. Everything is gone. You can't stop it. Planes fall out of the sky." Now, Santorum said in an interview with Fox Business Network back in January, he said, of course, he's a former Pennsylvania senator. He was asked whether he had a plan to protect America's critical infrastructures from terrorist attacks. He said, quote, "We have enemies who are obtaining nuclear weapons that can explode in our atmosphere, in our extra-atmosphere, and destroy our electric grid." Dr. Carson, who raised the same issue before at the same debate. And of course, Huckabee, he had mentioned that EMPs at his campaign rally earlier last year in May of 2015 cited there were threats of electromagnetic pulse from an exploded device that could fry the electrical grid and take the country back to the Stone Age in a matter of minutes. So this is a lot of people running for president of the United States. Many of these have dropped out. Bush is still in, and Carson is still in. But even the White House has sent out that they have a complete team of people literally working on this very issue on how to protect the United States from an EMP attack, a terrorist attack that could fry the electrical grids and send the nation into a state of total chaos. If just one city loses all power for one night, all hell would literally break loose, folks. All hell would break loose. I remember back in the late 70s, I remember New York City having a blackout for one night in the summer in New York City, and that night total chaos took place. Every demon in hell broke loose, and there were an extreme amount of murders and rapes and looting and robbery and mass chaos for a night until they could get the grids back up. And a lot of people died that night from heat exhaustion. It was a hot night, and people died in their apartments and in their condos and in hospitals and different places. So you have to understand, this is a very serious concern now. We're in a different world now. And the fact that Jeb Bush is bringing that back to the table just shows you what kind of world you're in. Of course, you will need to have a wall to protect your nation. And that doesn't just mean only a physical wall along the border of Mexico, but it means your immigration policy has got to be completely revamped and tightened with excruciating vetting that must go into effect. This is all part of the protection. And I've had people say, I don't believe in building walls. We should build bridges. We've heard that comment from the Pope yesterday. But the truth is, Jesus said if a man knew what hour, if the watchman knew what hour that a thief was coming to break up his home, he would have not suffered it to be broken in. He would have prepared a barrier. God even instructed the prophet Nehemiah to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem because the enemy was running in and out of it, murdering, robbing, and raping people because there was breaches in the barrier, in the wall. And because the children of Israel were fussing and fighting so much, they couldn't get together enough to build the wall for 20 years. And Nehemiah, a prophet, stood up and said, we must rebuild the wall. And he got the people a mind to work. He said, put a weapon in one hand and a tool in the other. Let's go to work. And in 52 days, they did what couldn't be done in 20 years. You have to protect your nation. And I think that's what Jeb Bush is now saying as it relates at least to the EMP. And we know Donald Trump is saying as it relates to the physical wall and to the immigration policies into this nation. And they're not the only ones. So it's time, folks, to understand we are living in a dangerous world. And the biggest wall of protection you could build, even a mother has a wall of protection for her unborn child in the womb. The greatest wall of protection you can build, though, folks, is through the blood of Jesus Christ. Plead the blood of Christ. Read Psalms 91. Stay under the shadow of the Almighty. Stay in the secret place of God. Dwell there and be under his wings. Be covered in the blood of Christ. Divine protection. We're living in the last days. Jesus is coming soon. Are you saved? Don't be left behind.